So for our findings as to the current state of the sector, community networks in the Philippines does not have the framework considering all small scale sectors. And then urban communities have access on services, but we know for a fact that the services, access to the services are limited depending on the capability of the community, particularly the local government units. And of course, with regards to academe, it depends on their infrastructure. And then rural communities, there are also sustainable challenges as to who would be keeping the cost, and of course, the procurement for the infrastructure and software technologies. With regards to the the group agreed on what could be done to be able to handle those challenges. So we recommend some changes in the policy because we know for a fact that some of our regulatory functions or policies are already outdated. Considering the needs of times, then there are some policies that needs to be addressed. We also need to have an updated spectrum management policies, responsive policies on the current technology. We also would like to propose for the development of test beds, particularly on the ORAN ecosystem and its application in the community and the campus network, and then manpower for operationalization, because we know for a fact that there might be the presence of technology, both software, hardware, and then we have telecommunication. But somehow, if we lack specialists to operationalize all of those technologies needed for us to successfully implement Open RAN in the Philippines, then it can also become a failure. So we also are for the training and development of our manpower. And then how Open RAN will help the sector. Of course, we understand that we will minimize the vendor lock-in, lower the cost of hardware, software, and maintenance, because we know for a fact that if there would be competition among the providers of these technologies, more or less to make themselves competitive to the rest of the industry, they have to beat them in terms of price, and of course, compete in terms of the best services and products they can offer. And then many communities, especially in rural areas, often face challenges in accessing reliable services. We see that Open RAN can help bridge this connectivity gap by providing more cost-effective and accessible solution for deploying wireless networks in remote regions. And of course, it will provide mobile connectivity. So basically, that's the target. And then extending campus network, just like what was explained earlier, no? During the pandemic, they have problems with how are we going to extend our educational materials to our students. So just like how they did apply it in UP, as shared earlier, they can extend it further to other UP campuses. So say, for example, the infrastructure is built to offer educational services to the Liman campus. Perhaps the philosophy of Open RAN can somehow extend these services to other branches of the university or of the school. And then Open RAN can facilitate better access to online educational resources and enable more efficient remote learning capabilities. So we have a project which is in demonstration outside. I think it's Project Rain. I was so amazed with the kind of technology they offer, specifically addressing the needs of our students for far-flung area. But I'm quite surprised because how come this technology is only known here? Okay, and personally, I just learned it yesterday. No, so if we can extend those kind of innovation they did in ASTI to other places in the Philippines, looks like we can make use of our innovation. Because my observation is that we tend to patronize. I am not against foreign providers of technology solutions for education. Of course, we are using them right now, particularly during the strike of pandemic. However, learning that there is such kind of innovation that exists, which is fully funded by our government, why don't we begin implementing those technology and innovation as our starting point while we implement RAN? So in the same token that we are promoting an output that is homegrown and developed in the Philippines, we also can be able to do a test case for the implementation of RAN in the Philippines. And if I may add, it is not only for far-flung areas. We can do a simul test for one in the far-flung areas and a test case in the metropolis, because kahit naman we are in Metro Manila, it is not an assurance that we get the top of the line educational materials, right? So we can have it also run here in the metropolis. And then provide connectivity to the students. Of course, that's one reason or one issue we have in Metro Manila also. We also have a digital divide because of poor connectivity. So there are a lot of reasons why there is poor connectivity. During pandemic, one thing that I observed is the availability of the gadget to run as fast as our telco provider. Though the telco is providing us, say, a reasonable speed to run their educational modules, but the thing is the gadget which receives those or access those educational materials is not capable of running at full speed. In the reason being, perhaps because the family cannot afford a reasonable, they cannot afford top of the line educational gadgets. And then immediate things to do in the next 6 months. We're into the development and improvement of the policies that concerns open access. To improve the existing open access bill that is currently in the pipeline. Hopefully, baka pwede, we can include already some policy that is relevant to Open RAN. Because, in the Philippines, we cannot just act on our own. It has to be supported by a legal framework wherein all our actions should be based from. And then compose technical working group who will draft the policy proposal, representative from technical community in support of the legal framework, because we know when we need to draft the legal framework of, say, Open RAN, it will not only involve technical specialists, okay? Since this particular philosophy will also involve other industries like business, education, we have agriculture, you have medicine, all of those industries should be part of the technical working group. At the same time, include a person who is specializing in drafting policies that will make this work. And then identify connectivity needs of other academic institutions and of course, community. So when we say community, it's our local government, our barangay, and then we have to conduct needs assessment, strengthen existing technologies, and then improve local support. When you say local support, it's basically the support coming from the local government units. Because we all know that the barangay is the basic unit of the society. If we make our barangay work, then it will what they call this, it can be cascaded going to the top, right? And then the stakeholders or partners that we have enumerated for this project includes the regulatory body or the ones who will draft the legal context of this project, and then telco companies, hardware vendors, software developers, which to drive the Open RAN solution. We have DOST, ASTI, IORA, USAID Beacon, SUCs, LUCs, private academic institutions, the ICT, LGUs, and then community or the users. Sorry. I missed one more. Okay, so we're not kind of sure about the budget yet because we really need some time to think about it. But with this, roughly from experience of my peers, they have an estimate of 3 million pesos annually that will be divided on the different phases of the project. And then we have to identify also who will be the technical working group. And we project that this will cover the 2 to 3 years project timeline. So since we take this as a project, we would like to divide the phases into project initiation, wherein we're going to create the project charter for Open RAN solutions. And then based on the charter, of course, we will be getting approval from the stakeholders. We will then create a plan for us to identify what are the different important resources that we have and what are the resources that we need. And then from there, we try to develop the schedule for this project. And of course, after the schedule is being fixed and approved together with resources by the stakeholders, we can then execute the plan. And then after execution, we will do the project closing. Of course, in between those 4 phases of the project development cycle, there is one important task or phase that we need to do that is sometimes overlooked by the project managers. And that is monitoring and controlling. So with the monitoring and controlling, we should be able to audit what was done or what was completed and what is still to be done.